Okay, this is kind of a reshoot of a video I did because I like the idea I was speaking on, but I didn't like the way I was speaking on it. Forgive how I look. I look very sleep deprived right now because I am. But long story short, got rejected. Not a bad way, but I got curved. And, I was telling my homie about it, and just due to everything that's been happening, he was kind of like, bro, why are you trying to even like focus on that right now? And I was like, nah, I'm not focused on it. I was just, trying to see what'll happen. And I got what I needed. And he was like, all right, but let's say it went the way you wanted or was hoping it to go. What then? And I was like, damn, he right. Cause like, what am I doing? Why am I focused on this when I know my priorities are that? Like it just is crazy because even though I've been doing good, my priorities are still swayed. Like, even if it's in small ways, because I wasn't tripping about it. Well, at first I wasn't tripping. No, at first I was tripping. And then I chilled out after I talked to him because I was like, it's not like, it's not like I was actually going. He was like, yes, you were. I'm like, okay, fair. But it just kind of let me asking, like, okay, why am I still obsessed with women, I guess, in the same way? Like, why am I chasing these externals knowing I'm not doing what I need to do for myself internally, And it kind of let me asking, like, how common are we to chase love because we don't know how to love ourselves? It's an unfortunate thing because it's not something a lot of people are brought up understanding. It's more or less like these people give you that love, like mom, dad, brother, sister, whatever. These people give you that love and make you feel love, but no one ever teaches you how to love yourself. And as you go through school and shit, you're more or less starting to develop these feelings for people, and they may have these feelings for you back, they may not. A lot of times they don't, and that's just life. You get rejected, you move on. But those times you do find someone who you think has those feelings for you, they don't necessarily love you either. The way that you need to be loved, only you can love yourself that way. And all you can do is show other people how you like to be loved because you know how to love yourself. But when you're just out here extending yourself to everybody you find attractive, you're not really getting to know these people. You're simply going off of the visual. You're simply going off of what's objective. And that's very unhealthy, frankly. And that's where I was at. I was not, how do I put this? I was more obsessed with being wanted than actually wanting the person. And that put me in a lot of unnecessary positions, a lot of uncomfortable situations that I didn't need to be in. And even with that, with the other girl, and it wasn't until my homie said it for what it was that I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, why is that not even clicking for me? And someone says it to me. And it's because it's routine. It's routine. It's another loop that I didn't even recognize until it was said to me. And that's so crazy. It just goes back to that word, noticing. You have to be able to notice these things. You know what I'm saying? And with women, I was not able to notice these things at all. I was more or less just like, you want me? Cool. And that's it. That was it. Now, granted, I would say it got worse as time went on. That's the perfect way to say that. It got worse as time continued because while I was indulging more and more with these women I had no interest in, they were expecting more and more out of me when I was doing what I was doing, but my feelings weren't changing. My feelings were stagnant. Everything was stagnant because I was just wanted. And that's all I wanted in that moment. I wanted to be wanted. Whether that was from someone I did want or didn't want, that's a whole nother story. That's something that didn't even cross my mind because I just wanted to be wanted. And it's crazy how extreme that went. because now I'm in a situation that I wouldn't wish this upon anybody, not even my worst enemy, bro. But I'm in it, and I'm dealing with it now. And it's making me face myself in the actions that I've done for what they are and what they truly are, you know. And it's a heavy reality check, a heavy accountability check for sure. But even still, it just kind of let me asking, like, damn, none of my relationships, none of like my sex relationships or just relationships have been out of want, like out of genuine interest. None of them. It's all because I just liked the high being wanted gave me, you know. Like, I was so enticed with that feeling in a way where like an actual relationship didn't even come to mind, because in my head I'm like, I wouldn't even know how I would be with someone who I actually fuck with and I have the possibility of losing them. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's a twisted thing to say, honestly, but that's where I was at for a really long time. And, you know, being in my shoes, like the position that I'm in now, and after having that conversation with my friend, it leads me to like seeing a lot of things in a different perspective. Like, honestly, a perspective I should have had prior to this. Like, what can you give me that I don't already have? You know what I'm saying? What can you give me that I want that I don't already have? Besides the high that I was searching for that went away anyway. It's like, aside from that, what can you give me? You know? It's something that you find out for yourself as you get to know a person and you understand, do I want to pursue this person, or am I okay with just having them as a friend? A lot of time I was just skipping that. I was just skipping the get to know them part, and I was jumping into relationships and sex, you know. And I was on TikTok. I don't know the dude's name, but he's a writer. He's very passionate about what he writes about. And the last thing he spoke on was prosthetic relationships. Relationships that are simply there to satisfy your dysfunctions, satisfy what you are afraid to face by yourself. This person is helping covering up those cracks, those crevices, those holes that tend to show when someone isn't there. And I think that's where I was at. And I'm still there, I guess, because I just tried to shoot my shot with another girl. I didn't even shoot my shot. It was more or less, I just wanted to get a status report. That's what I'll say. And, you know, I got curved, but I wasn't mad about being curved. Like, this was probably the most refreshed I ever felt being curved in my life. But when I told my homie about it, he like presented to me what it was I was doing in like a light that wasn't productive. That's what I'll say. He was letting me know that that was not productive in the slightest, you know? And he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong at all. So I took that and I kind of sat with it. And I actually had two thoughts today, but this one came back because like I said, I recorded the video, but I didn't like how I spoke on it. I feel like I wasn't really speaking the way I like to come on this channel. Because when I speak, I don't want to talk in such an emotional, like, I definitely want to express my emotions, but I don't want to speak from an emotional standpoint. I want to speak from like a place where it's like, okay, I've already felt this, I've already had these thoughts, and I'm still able to convey what those thoughts and emotions are. And yeah, I was glad to have that conversation because it led me to having this thought. And honestly, it was a reminder that I don't need anybody. Not in like I can do it myself, but it's like, as far as a relationship goes, you know, do I really need anybody right now? No, I don't need an entire person to think about and cater or and care about, you know, when I'm still trying to think about and cater for and care about myself fully, you know. I'm not saying there will be a time when I'm like 100% ready for a relationship, But I think it's also about letting the relationship happen a lot more naturally. And until then, working on what I have in front of me, which is me, you know? I like the quote of like, think of yourself as a garden, and as you like water your garden, you know, butterflies will come and go. And if no butterflies come, you still have a beautiful garden in front of you. And you know, just treat yourself like a temple, man. Treat yourself like something you cherish, just like you would treat something, just like you would treat a gift. Treat yourself as that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you are the catch, but you have to move with the respect that you are that catch. Like one thing I struggled with was mainly standing on my boundaries and respecting myself and sticking with what I say. Because when people see that sorry, I hear a drone. When people see that you're making promises to yourself that you aren't keeping, they're seeing that as, oh, I can test myself. I can push myself to push your buttons and see how far I can get. That's where I was at. I'm a very go with the flow person. I'm a very chill guy. I don't really like to confront unless it's necessary, you know? And honestly, I've been taken advantage of a lot because of that. Not in like a predatory, no, not like a grooming way or anything like that. Not like that. But in the way of like allowing people that don't deserve my time and energy to come in my space, and me not really saying no because it's not bothering me. It's not 100% bothering me, but I don't 100% want this. So I'm just dealing with it. You know, I'm like, let it play out until they're bored and they're done. But it's like, no, because then people start treating you like a doormat. People start thinking they can walk all over you, and that's never the case. It's never the case. It's all about respect, you know, that's it. And as you go out here and you're spending your day searching for love, you will never actually find it. Because all that time you spend searching for external love, you could be returning that love to yourself. And for a long time, I was just throwing away love, time, energy, love. When I say love, quotes, big ass quotes around that, because love is not something you just feel because someone is pretty. That's more or less attraction. You know, like you may be attracted to this person, but you didn't love them. You know, you might have cared for this person in that moment, but you did not love them. They catered to whatever dysfunction you had in that relationship, you know? And that's why that relationship did not last, because it wasn't really you. It wasn't really them. It was a performance that they might have performed for really well for a good amount of time, but eventually, you know, like I said, the act always comes to an end, you know? You have to be willing to close that curtain and say, hey, I need to sit by myself for a minute. I need to sit in the dark and allow myself to be. I spent a good chunk of my life chasing female validation, women validation, lust, like all these things that add nothing to my life. If anything, they just take away from it, you know? And you know, you be seeing it online, like people, you know, the little meta glasses, like that content is so big now, like approaching women, how to converse with women. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't know how to talk to women, because you definitely should, but you also need to know how to act around pretty women. You can't see a pretty woman and just automatically want to think about what's in her pants or how I can make her mine. You know, get to know them, because before a woman, that is just a person too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and that goes for men too. It's not just a man, it's a person. It goes both ways. It's not just the reason I'm saying, I'm just speaking from a man's perspective, you know, man to woman. Like, it's just, yeah, it's just about not just respecting them, but also respecting yourself enough to know this is not what I need right now. This is something I may want to distract myself from what I'm hiding from, but this is not what I need right now. So yeah, man, it's hard, but I want you to ask yourself, am I chasing love because I don't know how to love myself, or am I scared to love myself? One word difference, but it's a big difference.